All right, good evening, everyone. Dr. Stacy here. Excited you're here joining us tonight live on Tuesday, or maybe you're catching the replay. I have shared last week the longevity hack number one, which was on sleep. If you didn't catch that, go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Stacy and Trey, and you'll be able to find that from last Tuesday on there for you to watch if you want to hear more about sleep and the patches that benefit sleep. Tonight, we're going to dive into longevity hack number two, which is nutrition and cellular fueling. So I'm going to get started right away. Of course, I've got a PowerPoint I'm going to share with you guys, and we're going to incorporate many different things into this tonight with our technology. And of course, I'll get to that. I'm sure you're probably seeing this. So if you're a guest here, thank you for being here. We welcome you. We welcome you watching the replay. You're going to get back with that person that invited you at the end. But after or before I get started, and before we do that, I want to make sure you understand I'm not a medical doctor. So the information that I'm sharing tonight about LifeWave is for informational purposes only. I do have a PhD in integrative medicine and functional medicine. So the information that I'm going to be sharing with you on nutrition and cellular rejuvenation, on cellular fueling for your body is based on my studies and knowledge in the 20 plus years in the health and wellness space. So I'll be sharing just little tidbits. Obviously, this is only a 30-minute Zoom here. But know that nothing that I say is, of course, intended to make any claims to treat, diagnose, prevent, or cure. And if you have any questions in regards to your health, please check with your healthcare practitioner. They'll be able to guide you on that journey. So with that, let me go ahead and get this. I'm going to say probably, I'm going to hide my little doodad again, my little video panel, and then that way I'll be able to put this on full. All right, so before I jump into this, please understand that we are all very different on the inside. So when it comes to nutrition and fueling the body, what works for one person may not work for another. Okay. And so you may say, well, I can't have this, or that does this to me. And then another person says, well, that doesn't affect me that way. So you're going to hear me kind of reference this throughout this presentation because I want you to understand that everyone is different. And so you're going to eat for your body, for what works for you, and with the goal of us getting our body into balance. Because at the end of the day, when you are in balance, when your body's in homeostasis, then different types of foods don't affect you the way that they possibly did when your body was out of balance. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. So nutrition is foundational. That is why it's longevity hack number two. When I consult with people, I always ask them to tell me about what they're eating in a day's time. And it's interesting because the majority of people will say, "Oh, I'm healthy. I eat healthy. I eat a good diet. I'm clean." And I'm like, "Okay, well, tell me about it." And I write down what they say, and I'm like, "Oh boy, yeah, no. What you think is clean is not necessarily clean. What you think is healthy may not be healthy or nutritious or fueling your body in the right way to be able to support cellular repair and regeneration. But everything you eat is sending a message to your body." And everything you absorb or don't is sending a message. We'll get into that here in a little bit. So we're either going to trigger that repair or we're going to increase that degeneration in the body. So the right fuel is going to turn on longevity genes and support our mitochondria. The mitochondria are the little organelles attached to every single one of your trillions of cells in your body. They're responsible for energy production, that ATP, the powerhouse of your cell. So if you feel like you get sluggish in the afternoon, you're tired, you just can't keep going, your mitochondria aren't functioning correctly. Are you fueling them correctly? That's your first question. So also, of course, we see that nutrition stabilizes hormones, which is very different for men and women and very different, especially as we age. And I know this population of LifeWave is vast with your age group, but we all are on the numbers scale, right? Going up chronologically. A lot of us are reversing biologically, but we want to make sure we're addressing the key nutrients that we need throughout our life. So here's number one. Protein. This is the most interesting thing I find with people. They tell me, oh yes, I eat a good amount of protein. And then I ask them what they have for breakfast and they tell me about their oatmeal or their bagel or their fruit, bowl of fruit with yogurt or granola. And I'm like, where's the protein? Oh, I'll have a hard boiled egg. And I'm like, Do you know that's like only 7 grams of protein? You need about 35 grams of protein per meal. If you're eating 3 meals, you should have at least, for a woman, those 35 grams of protein per meal. When you look there where it says 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight, if I'm supposed to weigh 150 pounds, I'm supposed to be eating 150 grams. Now, I don't get 150 grams every day, but I always get over 100 grams of protein. And again, it's coming from clean, healthy sources. So if you're eating eggs, like I do most morning, I have 4. They come from the farmer down the road. So the chickens are running around, they're delivering them to my house fresh. I've never been in the refrigerator or anything. Still have all the, stuff on the outside of it. Real food, right? They do grass-fed beef. They do the chicken, the turkey, all the stuff like that. Go to your farmers markets. Get wild-caught fish if you do eat seafood. But make sure that you're getting the amount of protein you need. If you don't, you are tanking your metabolism. And I learned this the hard way. I was actually vegan for 8 years. Taylor had written in her journal years ago that I should go vegan and that I should write a cookbook, which was interesting because I had no plans of doing either. And then sure enough, I ended up going vegan and writing a cookbook and having 8 years of incredible foods until she passed away. And then my body flipped. Literally, it was like a switch flipped. And everything that I was eating, I was just literally packing on the pounds. Everything turned to fat in my body. Yes, it was stress. Obviously, cortisol. I know that has a lot to do with it. Hormones, right? Out of balance there. But when I incorporated meat again into my diet, then I saw my metabolism increase again and my body started using its own fat for fuel instead of using the carbs that I was consuming or the other types of plant-based protein that I was consuming. This is just me personally. So I've been on both sides of that spectrum of, I don't say I'm carnivore because I'm definitely not carnivore, but more of a healthy, meat-based diet with good, healthy green, vegetables and different stuff like that. And also then the total opposite of the plant-based completely. So wherever you're getting your protein, make sure it's clean, make sure it's healthy, and make sure it's enough in a day's time. That is going to be huge for your longevity. When we look at blood sugar, this is another massive one. People don't realize what spikes their blood sugar. Oh, I have oatmeal. Oh, I have granola. Oh, we have rice with our chicken for dinner. And I'm like, oh my God, you've eaten like 3 bowls of sugar today. That's what you're really eating because every time you eat these processed carbs or these packaged types of carbs or the carbs that are high in the glycemic index, right? They convert to sugar in your body, the pastas. It's not just the cakes and cookies and the packaged, junk fake food but when we look at longevity, it's really about keeping that blood sugar balance. And we're going to talk a little bit about carnosine later. That's a key component of that is balancing that glycation process. Every time your blood sugar spikes, you age. Every single time. So knowing what foods are low on the glycemic index, Google it. Go to ChatGPT. Give me a list of all the foods that are low glycemic, that are rich in fiber and protein and good, healthy fats. Please do not leave out the fat. Really important, right? For your brain, your heart. We need fat in our body. And of course, avoiding those, sweet drinks and processed carbs. But keeping your insulin stable is going to keep your skin youthful. It's going to keep your mind sharper for a much longer life. Blood sugar is key. We're going to look at some anti-inflammatory foods, and these are just some. I'm just going to list a few of them here for you guys. These are the 2 biggest things I see with people, the oxalates and the lectins. These types of foods, not all people, because I can eat everything on that list. I have tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, green beans, I love good dark chocolate. I have that stuff almost daily. Sometimes almond, butter or something like that. I'm not a rhubarb fan, but I can have those and not have any issues, where the person next door can eat those and they're down and out. Their body is just wreaking havoc because of the inflammation that these foods cause. It just means their body's out of balance, okay? So be aware of this. I talked to a lady the other day, did a consult, and she was like, oh, I eat spinach in my smoothie. I eat spinach here. I eat raw spinach here and raw spinach and raw vegetables. And I'm like, how's your digestion? And she's like, oh, it's good. And I said, well, tell me about it. You go, you have one or two bowel movements a day? And she said, yeah, sometimes I can make it through my walk. I got to turn around and go back. Things just are liquid. They're, and I was like, and she goes, wait, I don't think my digestion is really good. As she kept explaining it, I'm like, I think we need to look at the foods that you're consuming that are causing your digestive system to be very inflamed, your gut to be better, very inflamed. So if you want to be able to absorb the nutrients, you got to make sure you're keeping the inflammation down, which obviously we know that Eon is really good with that. But eating the right kind of foods to support the gut, right? When we look at the berries and the olive oil, I cook in olive oil every day. I saute food, right? Or I cook my eggs in olive oil. So I use really good, healthy, clean olive oil every day. If you're using seed oils, vegetable oils, things like that, you need to get those out of your diet. It's going to make a big difference for longevity. We're going to talk just a teeny bit about the cellular repair with autophagy fasting. So, what this basically means is when you go a period of time without eating, which we all do every single night. I hope you don't get up in the middle of the night and eat, but when you have your dinner, you're done, right? And then you wait until the next morning when you get up, and usually you get up and there's a process. Hopefully, you're drinking clean water, maybe with some lemon, and then you get your day going before you have a meal. So, you're at least going 12 hours, right? You would hope that would be a good starting point. I'm not your doctor, so check with your doctor on, your schedule for that. But we know when you are fasting, I'm personally a 16-8 person. Most every single day, I'll go 16 hours without eating. I'll eat dinner around 6. You do 6 in the morning is 12. Okay, great. I'm looking at another 4. I usually have food around maybe noon. That may be my breakfast time. Maybe I have dinner at 5, and so then I'm having it a little earlier at 10:30 or 11. It's not 100% to the line, but I typically try to eat within an 8-hour window. But we know that autophagy means getting rid of those cells that are not functioning correctly. That cellular renewal process. It's going to improve your mitochondria. It's going to improve your stem cell regeneration and your insulin sensitivity. Insulin resistance is crazy today, and we don't have time to really get into that right now, but this will help by limiting your eating window in a shorter period of time. And a lot of days I'll just have 2 meals. I may have my eggs and whatever I'm having, maybe a side of raspberries or something like that, maybe a sourdough piece of toast from the farmer again. I may have that, and then I don't have anything again till dinner. So then I'm looking, okay, I've had 35, 40 grams here of protein. Where am I going to make that up throughout the day or at the dinner to where I'm making sure I'm getting another at least 60 grams? You do that in protein, right? So, or maybe there's a snack in there somewhere that is a protein-rich snack. So keeping that in your mind. And again, I'm not like counting the calories and the carbs and the protein, but I'm being mindful of the foods that I'm consuming. That's important. So we're going to get into hydration now. I'm sure you're going to be very excited about this section. So hydration is key. If you are dehydrated it's not going to work. Your body is not going to work in so many ways, and people will fight this. It's mind-blowing to me. I get it if you're a kid. I don't want water. I want juice, or I want those sugary drinks. Well, that's your fault as a parent. Sorry, no offense. But don't give your kids those and they don't even know it exists, right? Like my children grew up on water. They went from breast milk to water. That's all you had, right? You didn't get anything else because this is what's healthy for you. Clean, healthy water. We know that water is going to drive detox. It's going to help with the digestion, with the nutrient transport, and your energy flow. If you're dehydrated, all of that is not working correctly. All of that and so much more, right? We look at cell-to-cell communication with our patches. If you don't have water, your it's not going to work. So let's say this. It's not going to work as well as it could and should be working because you're dehydrated and you may not feel great. You may have a headache. You may be like, oh, my body's kind of like, exhausted. You may not feel great. So we're going to aim for half your body weight in ounces and more if you're active. So for me, I like lime in my water. You can put lemon, you can put cucumber, you can put strawberries, pineapples, put it in a big, glass jar in your fridge, soak it overnight. I don't care. Just drink it all day. Throughout your day, drink at least half your body weight in ounces and avoid that tap water, right? Those with the forever chemicals and all that kind of stuff in it. So clean, healthy water. You can use structured or mineralized. I love Topo Chico, Saratoga. Those are my 2 favorite mineralized waters. if you want. And of course, adding your electrolytes like the Celergize to your water every day, giving you all the amino acids, all the electrolytes you need for your body because people are deficient. And then, of course, adding in some Celtic sea salt or Redmond sea salt for your trace minerals are key for, again, cell to cell communication. So, hydration is key for longevity, and that is part of your nutrition. So again, you're an adult. If you don't like it, get over it. You'll be fine. You need it if you want to live a long, healthy life. So we're just going to talk a tiny bit about the future of hydration with the X2O structured hydrogen water. So I'm not going to read all of this to you guys. Of course, you can take a screenshot of that if you want to. These are some things from the slides that David had shared last year at our conference, our global conference, which is coming up again in just 2 weeks. But last year he shared a huge, incredible PowerPoint, and that is on my YouTube channel as well, but you'll have to scroll back to last year. But it is on there from October last year. And so these are just a few key points of the X2O, which will be launching officially after conference this year. So your leaders, your senior presidential directors down had the option to purchase one of these already. So there's a lot of people that have been drinking from the X2O water machine already and have had fantastic results, loving what we're drinking, loving our reverse aging that's happening, all the amazing things that this water machine does. This is just a baby snippet of what it does. So you can find all the interviews with David in my YouTube channel as well too, if you're interested in checking those out. Here's just a little chart that talks to you a little bit about a comparison with our X2O versus like regular filtered water. So yeah, I know there's some systems out there that are good, water filtration systems. We've got an RO. I know there's some on the counter type things. I'm not getting into comparing with them. I'm just kind of saying here's what we can see from regular filtered water versus the X2O. So big difference there in drinking that water. You don't drink that water all day. It is, you drink 16 ounces a day, and then you drink really good, high quality water the rest of the day. So let's talk a little bit about the nutrient absorption as we dive into the patches and the gut integrity. So as I said at the beginning, you're not what you eat, you're what you absorb, right? It's really important what you're obviously eating, but it's important what you're absorbing. And so when you have stress, and when you have toxins, let's go back. When you have stress and when you have toxins, we cannot avoid stress or toxins in our life. We're bombarded in the environment, right? In our food. We don't even realize, gosh, our dental floss, all the stuff. There's toxins everywhere. Obviously, we can avoid processed foods. That's a personal choice. But stress is just part of life. It's just where we are. Toxins are part of life. And so these things damage our gut lining. So we have to be mindful of this, which means we're not absorbing the food, the nutrients that we are consuming. So we have to support with maybe enzymes, digestive enzymes, or probiotics, or things like glutathione and our Eon. So patching and clean water are going to enhance your nutrient uptake. They're going to improve the gut integrity and the nutrient absorption. So we're just going to talk about 5 of the patches tonight that are going to support that cellular energy and nutrient uptake in our next 10 minutes that we have here. So we know our X39. Our X39 is our flagship patch. We know that this patch is going to promote that vitality and that natural balance in the body. We know that when we elevate those and activate those master cells in the body, we know that the body knows how to take care of itself. This is the patch that starts that process, activates that process, and then your body goes to work. It's called a biochemical reaction inside of the body, right? We're increasing the peptide, the GHKCU. We're elevating that peptide in the body, and then that sets in motion this biochemical reaction that helps bring the body into balance. If you go to PubMed right now and you type in GHKCU, copper peptide, just go type that in, you'll be able to find 13 pages of research. Not from LifeWave, okay? 13 pages from doctors all over the world, scientists all over the world that have spent years, decades researching the benefits of GHK. It's actually a copper peptide that Dr. Lauren Picard discovered over 50 years ago in the body. And so he has so many studies on it as well. But knowing that it is a powerful peptide, if we look in the world of peptides, we know that it's our superhero, right? It does the most out of any peptide, really. And so looking at what that does in X39, you wear this patch, you put it on in the morning when you get up, you leave it on 12 hours, you take it off, you throw it away. Obviously, you're hydrated during the day. And then you get up the next morning and you do it again because you want to support that cellular energy. Peptides compound over time. So it's important that we do this day after day, week after week, month after month. I'm here 4.5 years in. Why? Because not only has it repaired, I didn't have any health issues, but not only has it repaired anything possibly in my body that could have been going awry, getting close to 50 years old, it's actually helped me to reverse functionality in my organs and my cells and tissues. And I've watched that happen with blood work over time. So as I've continued to patch, my biological age has continued to go backwards, cut in half, which is fantastic when I think of myself and longevity and vitality and prevention. Those are my personal goals that I've always had for myself, to be able to have all the tools in my toolbox, whatever I need, to make sure that I am doing the things to support my cellular energy, to support my longevity. And when I discovered X39 about 4.5 years ago, I thought, this is by far the best thing that I have seen. It literally has so many benefits for you and zero contraindications, zero adverse effects, zero side effects. It is safe. It's non-invasive. This is a non-transdermal patch, as with all the patches. So I know when I'm putting this on my body, there's no interactions or contraindications to any other tool that I'm using in my toolbox. So that is our master patch, our flagship patch. And when you look at supporting that cellular energy and you're supporting the gut and supporting your overall vitality and longevity and health, that's where we go to. We're going to talk just a little bit about Energy Enhancer, because that patch is the first patch that David invented about 23 years ago now. And Energy Enhancer increases the ATP, or the mitochondrial function we talked about earlier. And so how it does that is by triggering beta oxidation. Beta oxidation is just a fancy word for turning body fat into fuel. I don't know many people that are interested in that, but we know that it helps improve cell-to-cell communication. And when you can improve cell-to-cell communication, then you look at that longevity aspect, because our cells do communicate with each other. When you were born, you had cells that looked like grapes. As you age, your cells start to look like raisins. So if we have cells that we want to look like grapes, we want to make sure we can keep that ATP, that energy powerhouse, right, source from the cells, that mitochondria. We want to make sure we can keep the light around our cells expanded and keep our cells expanded. So that helps with that cell-to-cell communication. When things don't function correctly, I mean, just search mitochondrial dysfunction and you can just see what that leads to. So Energy Enhancer, key for that longevity and supporting your cellular function. We're also going to talk about Eon just a little bit. So Eon is my number 2 favorite patch next to X39. David agrees, just interviewed him a few weeks ago and he said the same thing. Absolutely, Eon, X39, I call it the dynamic duo, but those are used together every day. So it's going to encourage that balance in the body. So when we look at our nervous system, when you're stressed, when you're in that fight or flight mode, that go, 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 it's your sympathetic nervous system that's turned on. The body can't heal itself, right? It's having a hard time to process, to have the correct cell-to-cell communication, to be able to promote that balance in the body, and that we call homeostasis. So keeping Eon on every day for that 12-hour window, right? That's going to help to calm that nervous system, to balance that body, and to be able to help with the inflammatory process. And remember earlier we talked about these inflammatory foods. Again, that wasn't an all-encompassing list, but we talked about some things that were highly inflammatory and some things that were anti-inflammatory. And so we know that Eon supports your body in that way to help with that inflammation in the body. So glutathione and carnosine, I love these. These are big antioxidants. Your body has glutathione. Your body has carnosine. Those are antioxidants in our body. We know that antioxidants in our body chomp up free radicals. It's kind of like the game we used to play, Pac-Man, right? They run after the little ghost running around. And so glutathione being that master antioxidant, right? That big antioxidant in the body. It's huge when we look at what it does. And I know on here it says for radiant skin and calm centered body, but we can see great improvement in the organ function from glutathione and from carnosine. They work differently. Glutathione is definitely systemic, meaning when you use our glutathione patch, you're going to increase your own glutathione, which is very different from a glutathione like an IV push at the end of a drip or a suppository or even a supplement that you take a few times throughout the day. Glutathione does not stay, an outside source does not stay in your body very long. It has a 7-minute half-life. So it's gone pretty quickly within a couple hours. Our patch is going to actually elevate your own glutathione. Big difference, game changer in the body for what happens at the cellular level. All cells are impacted by your glutathione. And so using that is going to elevate your glutathione over 300% and sustain that for a 24-hour period. So that is a powerful patch. Now, carnosine, on the other hand, works very different. It's not systemic, as we would say, like glutathione. Carnosine likes to hang out in certain areas, like the brain and the heart and our organs. So when I said earlier that carnosine, our own carnosine, is responsible for balancing that glycation process that's keeping those blood sugar spikes down. Now you have to do your part with your diet. You can't go eat a whole cheesecake and be like, I don't know why carnosine didn't work, because you just taxed your whole system. So balancing your glycation process, that's a key component again to longevity, as I mentioned earlier. So carnosine helps with that. And of course, like I said, with the brain performance and your muscles, we can see great repair, cellular repair with our muscles with carnosine. So we're going to end with this, just a, simple little chart here that kind of gives you a little bit of what each patch does, its function, a little bit about how it supports the overall longevity and vitality and overall wellness of your body. And then, of course, the synergy and combining them with other patches or with the X2O. And of course, you can take a screenshot of this. But this is not all encompassing of what each patch does by any means. No, they all work independently of themselves, and they do all work synergistically. So could I wear these patches every single day? Absolutely. Have I? Absolutely, every day. I know in the beginning I used every single one of them every day, except for silent nights. I told you guys that last week. I've never used that patch. But I use Energy Enhancer as needed. I really have tons of energy. Everything functions correctly in my body. I know my cells are working right. So I use that as needed if I do happen to need that. But Eon, glutathione, carnosine, for me, those are dailies. Knowing what they do every single day, obviously X39, and there's others. But definitely keeping with again, this is not the all-encompassing of what they do, but just kind of gives you an overview. So finally, feed your cells. You need to eat correctly. You cannot use a patch and it fix poor nutrition. I'm just going to be honest with you. You have to do your part. Just like with sleep, you have to do your part to make sure everything that I covered last week you're doing to support your sleep so that you get the deep sleep. You won't live a long time. That is your time for your body to heal itself, especially this brain with the lymphatic system. So you've got to do your part, but the patches and the hydration definitely will support that. And of course, we know light heals, right? We just know that light does. Get out in the sun. Everyone feels better. So supporting your system is going to help bring you back into homeostasis or keep you there if you're there. But I went over last week, I said sleep, tonight was nutrition. These are the first longevity levers. And of course, I will be going over more as the weeks come and incorporating those patches. So join me next week on Tuesday, same time, same place, 8 p.m. Eastern, or catch this replay. Of course, it will be on my YouTube channel whenever I am done with my Zooms tonight. And I appreciate you guys being here and supporting this and sharing this with your brand partners. I know that, again, as a doctor of integrative and functional medicine, A patch is not the end all be all, fix all, cure all of everything. It is a incredible tool. This is the most powerful tool I have literally seen in my 20 plus years in this industry of health and wellness, in this space. And it works so well with anything else that you're doing holistic. And even if you have to use medications for things, it works perfectly fine. Again, no contraindications, to help bring your body into balance in a way that's safe, that's non-invasive, that's accessible. I can put this on anywhere, anytime, any day. It's shipped direct to me. And I don't have to go somewhere and be hooked up to something or have a countertop full of things. It is an amazing tool, but you have to do your part too. And that's why this longevity series is going to be every single week diving into these tools for you to be able to live a long, healthy life. So thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday.